For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. These are their stories.
Welcome to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I am Nina Simmonsto.
And I am Osiris Stephenand.
And we are the proud parents of Aiden Stephen.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Love and Cannabis.
Hello.
Hey, we have a special guest tonight. But I'm really excited about this. We were longtime friends. We've worked together. We've known each other for 10 years. And so this is going to be a special night. Before I get started, please tune into our show. We're on MJBulls. Tune in and get some new and updated information about us and what we're up to, and also all our excited guests that we're going to have.
Yes.
So my guest is currently in her doctorate of philosophy and social work at Delphi University in New York. And she's also has experience working in charter schools, as well as working with young adults and children at risk on ages between 10 to 20 years old. And she's also looking to work with adults and has her own private practice. I just want to welcome a special friend, someone I'm, like I said, known for years and is really, really up and coming in what she's doing. Alicia Wilson.
Hello.
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
I'm doing great. You know, I feel like this is a time where you could complain and I can't complain. So all is good.
Yeah, wonderful. It's been quite some time since we've last seen each other and really had a lot of fires to put out from our background.
You mean running after kids?
Running after kids. If you're not running after kids, you're running after the parents. Hey, so I could only imagine what you're dealing with right now. So share with us, what is it you're currently involved in, and what is it that you're doing and what you plan on doing down the road?
Absolutely. Well, I actually am currently supervising 37 school social workers throughout the Brooklyn area of New York City. These are social workers in settings, kindergarten through 12th grade. I provide clinical supervision, help the schools create policies, and really just connect with families so that there's that relationship between the school and the family. Outside of that, as you said earlier, I do have a private practice. I mean, I've been a social worker at heart for as long as we've known each other. And even though I'm supervising, I realized that I still wanted to be a part of the direct practice. So I decided to open up my own. And I have about, right now, maybe about 21 clients that I see. And that's from anywhere from post-traumatic stress disorder to dealing with anxiety or another type of mental illness. And, you know, I'm Jamaican, so we always got like 3 or 5 jobs. So,
Right. Gotta get the hustle.
You know, 2 times out of the week, I also teach at Delphi. I teach a criminal justice class.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's my background in a nutshell. Trying to finish up my PhD. I want to get that out of the way. I need to just end that side of me and continue on. So I'm working on that.
Well, good luck and congrats. Oh my God, you've done so much since we last spoke.
Do you work with mainly on your private practice? Is it mainly adults or is it children?
So, great question. I would say predominantly adults, but I have a few children. The youngest is 9 years old, who deals with anxiety.
Big now.
I have 2 teenagers. One is 15, the other one is 17, and then everyone else is 24 and up.
You know what? It's interesting because I recall some years ago when I'm not going to say how long, But some way back way back when I worked, when I was actually undergrad, I worked at a group home, a residential treatment center for young people. And it was a young man I was working with. He was about 10, 11 years old. He witnessed his father killing his mother.
Yeah.
And that stayed with him. He was like never the same. He lost both parents, and he was getting, basically psych evaluations. He was on medication. It was just like he was so traumatized. And that was my first time, meeting or working with a young man who had to be in a situation like that at such an early age. I can only imagine what they go through. Like, do you have clients like that experience something that extreme?
Oh, definitely. I have, clients that have had some type of terrifying event, even something as small as child having a horrific asthma attack and getting to the hospital, and they had actually had the wrong name of the child. They used the child's middle name as his first name. So the mother spent about an hour trying to find her child. And because of that, now she always has this anxiety, like, what happens if he has an asthma attack while he's at school and they try to reach me and they can't reach me, or something happens at the hospital. And it just causes this over-provoking stress that she sometimes can't deal with. And I think because of that, a lot of times she's like, I don't want to let my child go. Just let him stay with me. Who can take better care of him than myself?
Yeah, that's true. My mother.
And it's those kind of experiences that sometimes will really cause them to just, whether it's nightmares, just panic attacks. Panic attacks are real for people.
Yes, I've experienced them.
Yeah, and if you don't know what it is, you may think you're having a heart attack.
True. The sweats, the heart palpitations.
Can't breathe.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then just finding ways, how do you cope with that? How do you get yourself to relax? What are good coping strategies for you? Because today, this coping strategy may work, but tomorrow that same one doesn't work. So having that list of coping strategies that you can use throughout your life is very helpful. And then just being able to name what gives you anxiety, because at least if you...
The triggers.
Right. Then you can more prepare yourself for it.
Got it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I mentioned in the episodes that I definitely suffer from anxiety and depression as well.
Yeah.
All the things that it would aid in, like seeing the vicious seizures, the hospitalizations.
Yes.
Dealing with different doctors, having to run around from here to there. Like, in a way, I feel like it's almost like post-traumatic stress.
It is.
It is, absolutely.
So even if he's okay, he's much better, I'm still remembering what happened in the past.
Yeah.
And then Osiris like, that's the past. Let's just let it go. And he's not that easy. I don't know if it's easier for men to do it. Are you finding men it's easier for them to let go things in the past than women?
No, I actually don't agree with that. I actually think men have panic attacks as well, but sometimes they can't connect it as that. They may just I'm stressed. They may go to the gym and work it out. They may ignore it by laughing it off or just going to sleep. I don't acknowledge it as much as we do. Men are also emotional creatures, but sometimes don't connect these things as panic attacks because it's like, I'm macho. I'm not dealing with that. And it's not actually named for them. Then they're like, wait, no, I did experience that, but I didn't know it was a panic attack. And, how often are you going to find that a man is going to willingly and openly go and speak to the doctor about some of these things, or even go to a therapist and talk about it? So many times they're walking around with it, not even knowing that they're actually experiencing those things.
As a man, I can attest to that. I can confirm that. I think for men it's an ego thing, because again, it's like two things. Either you have a father that teaches you how to cope with things like this, or you don't have a father in your life, so you don't know that you have to cope with these things.
Absolutely.
So you kind of disregard them and say, it's not something we want to deal with or know how to. I say it's not a matter we don't want to deal with. We just don't know how to, because we don't recognize it. We don't understand what it is.
Absolutely.
we just think it's something. It's just something. Women go through those things, and that's it. So we pass it on.
Yeah. I mean, I think slowly but surely we are moving from our generation of men can and shouldn't cry to now it's more acceptable, be open with your emotions. But if I've had so many years of someone saying to me as if I was a male, don't act like a girl. Like, what are you doing? Like, figure that out. Then it's kind of this, even if I am emotional, as a man, many times they want to hold it back because they're like, wait, is this right? Should I do this? I think I'm not manly. I think we are still more and more move from that direction. Like, I was so happy to see so many athletes openly show their emotions when we unfortunately lost Kobe.
Yes.
Because I felt like it gave that signal of it's okay to still be a man, to still be LeBron James and cry and be emotional. And we don't always get to see that for our male figures.
That is true. I would have to agree because I've told Nina this once before because I haven't cried in years over much of anything because I've had so many losses in my life when I was young. And into my 20s, I've had experienced so much, and I'm like, I'm all cried out. Not like the song, but I'm like, I just. It sound like the song. It did sound like. Lisa let it jam. But it's just that you reach a certain point, like, why shed these tears anymore? And it's. I think I'll have to say that I'm not gonna say I think, but the most recent time that I did cry, I would have to be honest, is that when Aiden had his one major seizure and he was running through the hall and he fell. And I'm in the kitchen, I hear this thump and I look down on the ground and he's shaking. Yeah. And I'm trying to snap him out of it. And it's like that moment where I felt so weak and helpless. I did not know what to do. I literally froze holding him, trying to figure out what to do. I think that was that moment where I'm like, okay, I can cry.
Yeah.
And the thing, and for a man, you don't want to ever feel helpless. You never want to feel weak. You don't want to feel like you have no way out of any situation. You want to be able to be on top. You always want to be in control of your elements. But the time that you lose it, it's like you feel vulnerable. And I think at that moment, I was vulnerable because I couldn't come up with any answers or any way of solving. Because that's what we do. Naturally, men want to solve a problem.
Absolutely.
And at that moment, I couldn't solve squat. So I had to cry.
No, it absolutely happens. And I think, we all learn when you do cry, it's a release of something. It's being able to let it go and wash it off. And you find many times, not all the time, but when someone isn't able to cry or they hold it back, that eventually turns into anger because that's all that negative energy that's just stuck inside and there's nowhere for it to go. So what happens? You get to a boiling point and it tips over.
The powder keg, basically.
Yeah.
Do you find, I know for our relationship, do you find that sometimes, say the male...
Our relationship? Hold on.
Yeah, so the male doesn't cry. but then the male feels almost like a resentment that the woman's crying. Like, why are you crying? Just be stronger.
Oh, yeah, suck it up. Man it up.
Yeah. Is that,
why can't women man it up? Hold on, why can't women man up?
They do. Because eventually they handle the issue, but they understand that there's the emotion that they got to let go of first.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I really believe that women have a better way of handling emotions than men.
I think so.
Because you're allowed to express it because that's expected.
True.
For men, we bottle up and don't know. That's why we're more violent at times because we have no way of channeling it.
True. We're not, men are not socialized to. It's why I a lot of times get upset with parents when they tell their young boys, don't cry. What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, don't say that. Let them cry. It's okay. It's okay. Talk to them about it after, but don't tell, a young man or a young boy, don't cry.
At what age do you stop telling him that? I
think it's a fine line. I think what Osiris and sometimes when they're younger, like they're crying as like a way of
getting out of things.
So it's hard to discern sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right with that. I think there's a difference. I think more what I'm getting at, if it's an event that's an emotional event and you feel that the child could have been affected by it, I think it's okay to definitely cry. I definitely agree also with the tough love, like dry your eyes, wipe yourself off and get back up and do it. I'm talking more about emotional connection, and it's okay to release that.
Oh yeah, I know. Osiris is like say a death of a family member or
something they lose,
or something you're upset. Maybe you were being bullied, stuff like that.
Absolutely,
that's something different. Yeah, that's something different.
But if you're crying because you don't want to do your homework.
Absolutely not. No, we are not contributing to the little temper tantrums. No, get rid of that.
Yeah, exactly. So now you're in Brooklyn. Well, you've always been there, and you're right, and you're seeing this quarantine. What has changed as it relates to your work? Because we, in nature, we're not really supposed to be locked down like this. I mean, I could only imagine if you worked with prisoners and they're put in solitary confinement. They even say it's inhumane. So could you imagine, a healthy adult without a record is, basically asked to stay in their home and not leave? Are you seeing a lot of people who are just like losing it over it?
It's interesting. I see several different factors. I see the ones that are realizing that they have no real social support, no one that they can really kind of call and just say, hey, or have someone that's checking in on them. And then they're just like, wow, I really live like a lonely or isolated life.
Wow.
And it's really wondering, like, how did I cut off all of my friends and family that no one's checking in on me, or I'm going through my phone and I can't even figure out who I could text or call at this moment. And I think that's causing people to reflect on some of the things that they have done in their past and how that might have contributed to cutting people out of their lives. So I think that's one that I get a lot of. I think I also, get the individual who just is realizing, like, I just don't love myself, and having to be with myself all day is just not fun. And I'm like, the first person that you got to be happy to be around is yourself. Right? You got to love you. And maybe this is the time where you're really working on yourself so that you can love yourself and enjoy that time. And then the third, which I think is the highest, I would say, is the ones that are panicking. And part of that panic is also because they spend 24/7 watching the news. Yeah. And it's killing them because that's all they're taking in. So that panic just heightens.
Are you seeing like people wanting to commit suicide or thoughts?
I'm seeing two things that are happening. I won't necessarily say suicide as much as I would say that there is an increase in depression. And because there's an increase in depression, I'm either seeing the results of going to substance abuse or drinking. And then on the other end, which we're starting to see in the news, I have a few married couples, and I am seeing, if it's not fully domestic violence, is in that direction of like that negative communication, the constant yelling, they're not really talking to each other. Those are kind of the pathways that I'm seeing amongst the individuals that I deal with. If I do see suicide, it's not so much my private practice, but maybe families that are dealing with the loss of a family member, and that person was like the breadwinner. What do we do? Or trying to pay for burial and funeral arrangements and don't have that kind of money.
Yes. Oh my God.
And it's so funny. Right before I work in a school, right before we left, it was uncertain on how long we were going to be out, and it wasn't certain if we were coming back. And one of my colleagues was like, we have to come back to work because my husband got laid off at URB.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was concerned. I was like, she's probably not telling me everything, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, wow. Because sometimes a lot of couples don't really see each other. Like, I know families that the mom works during the day and then the husband works at night. So that's not a lot of time, you know?
Absolutely. Of interactions.
So
yeah. So then to go back to this is tough.
yeah, but that's interesting. It's almost like two strangers are finally met. Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, you're my husband. I'm your wife. So what do you want to do? It's like their first time meeting.
And now they're figuring out, like, what do we talk about? We've never really talked this much in our lives.
Exactly.
That is crazy. That is so quick. Now, as part of like what you're seeing, other than the violence or the leading to violence, have you seen also there's a ramp of like sexual abuse? Is there been like more aggressive behaviors on either side?
Aggressive behavior in regards to, you said sexual abuse?
Yes.
No, I can't say I really experienced that. I think more so what I've experienced is maybe more physical, or just get away from me. You go in one room, I get in another room. I'll say more, there's probably lack of sex than there is actual sexual abuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we need therapy.
I always said that.
Yeah. Well, since you're here, let's flip the show for a second. Do you, for your practice, do you recommend or do you prescribe any, any drugs? Because cannabis has been used. Cannabis is being used now to treat PTSD and other ailments that people suffer from, like depressions and, anything psychological. And wondering, have you had clients who are looking towards that, or maybe who are actually suffering from the basic abuse of it?
So we definitely have a few of my clients where I will refer them to a psychiatrist and say that, yeah, I think they should be on some type of medication. I normally try to go herbal first. I definitely do have one or two clients that CBD oil has really good for them, and just rubbing it on the temples of their foreheads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or just, rubbing it on their hands and kind of massaging it in gives them like a sense of relaxation and a sense of peace. So I'm definitely for CBD oil or aromatherapy. I would do those two things before I automatically say taking some type of psychotropic medication. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I do have the patients who may actually smoke marijuana, use that as a way to relax. And that's fine. But one of the things I say is, so when you get off that high, you still got a problem to deal with.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
Just because you smoked it and it made you feel good for the moment doesn't mean your problems went away. And that's one of the biggest things that I try to put out there.
Exactly. So just to talk about me, so I was right before quarantine, I was really in a bad spot and just so much going on. I went to Asian cannabis doctor. Mm-hmm. I said, I having a hard time functioning, going to work. It's just been had a lot of sad moments. And I said to her, is there any way you could prescribe me like a specific strand that I could use to help me calm and help me, get through the day? And she was saying the same thing you said. She's like, Nina, it's only a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to work out and have coping mechanisms. She's like, if it's something you're having a panic attack at the time and you want to use it for that, but not something that's gonna, help you unless you really cope with your problems. And I respected her for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still looking over there. It's like, hey, when you ready, I'm here.
Yeah, right. It's still gonna be here, so I'm here. Yeah. So basically people use it as not a gateway, but a getaway.
Exactly. They try to get away from it, take their mind off of it for a little while, sometimes try to ignore it. It's really just an escape. It's fine if in that moment you need to escape, as long as you understand at some point You have to confront reality. If you do not confront reality, it's going to be a bigger beast at the end of the day.
A lot of sense, because like you said, if you have a quick panic attack and then you just want to get over that hump, but then you have to know that you have to realize why, what triggered that.
Yeah, what is at the core root? What have you seen as a core root for some people's anxieties?
I would say, sometimes for children, it's actually their parents.
I can see
and my parents hate me when I say that.
You know what? I told them, we got to stay with Aiden's therapy.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect.
Yeah, but at the same time, when we go to therapy, it's like, what's your problem? It's my child.
I'm like, no, the child is just a scapegoat. What's the real problem?
I don't understand my child.
But anxiety can, there's so many things that can cause anxiety. If we want to talk about COVID-19 right now.
Yes. Oh my God.
Financial, right? Where's my next dollar going to come from? Could I my job? If I lose my job, am I good? I'm hearing I can't get unemployment right now because the lines are just long. Maybe I got to rationalize my food and conserve my money and not pay rent. So financial stability is a huge anxiety for some. That second is, do I have COVID-19? Am I asymptomatic? Should I? If I go outside, am I the one that's counting? You got a mask. You don't got a mask. You got a mask.
Yeah.
And that's definitely anxiety provoking. Sorry, for some. So I think those are several big ones. If we weren't talking about COVID-19, work in general, some stress for people, but now you're talking about working from home. And if you're a parent working from home, that means you're trying to parent, you're trying to check your email, and trying to be pretty for the Zoom conference that you really don't want to do.
Yeah, right? That could have been an email.
That could have been an email.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, it's just that it was something that's thrusted on people, and so they haven't had time to cope with it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sudden death. It's like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. So how do I deal? I'm still in a fog. But even as time has gone, I'm still in this fog, and it hasn't become reality yet. Is this going to be forever?
Yeah, and that's why I had a panic attack. I'm like, this is going to be our life, but
yeah.
How is this it? Is this?
Are you seeing people being detached from reality or trying to cope with reality?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think you have some that are definitely trying to detach from reality, and they're just like, I'm going to act like nothing is happening, and I am going to stay in my house, and I'm going to watch comedy, and I'm going to, listen, get high, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Now there's still some fear. So even if subconsciously they're not thinking about it, they still have a hard time going to sleep. They still have a hard time getting through their checklist through the day. They don't want to get up out of the bed or move from the couch. Wow. So you still see it in some form. And then you have others that are like, I'm going to confront it. But because they don't have the appropriate coping mechanisms and maybe don't even know what they're confronting, that anxiety becomes intense. They have more repeated episodes. And there's just this persistent worry.
Wow. So in your field of seeing things the way you are, would you recommend that, if you have a client that says, what, I need something to just get me away from this for a moment so I can regroup and just collect myself so I can deal? Would you say, hey, look, okay, I know about the CBD oil. Would you use some here? Let's rub it again. I mean, do you use that with all your patients, or do you recommend it to them? How do you approach them about using CBD oil?
I think the first thing, because I want to find out if my patient is an avoidant or not. So first, I would say, I want you to stay in the moment. I want you to tell me what your emotions are. When do you most experience these emotions? Can you name some of your triggers? And if you can name your triggers, if you can name what triggers provoke what emotions, I would rather that you take that moment to concentrate on that, focus on that, journal it, figure out how can you reduce some of those things and do that first. But if I find like it's to the point where it is so bad that they can't even function, like they can't do anything, then I may say, okay, you know what? We've tried several methods. We've tried to stay in the moment. We've tried journaling. We've tried phoning a friend, listening to music, all of the things. And you're still having anxiety to the point of maybe you're not even trying to walk out your front door just to go get mail, then let's look at maybe CBD oil or something along those lines before I would still say psychotropic medication.
Yes, psychotropism. Yeah, because in the news lately, mushrooms are being used. Psilocybin is being used now as a way of treating with anxiety, stress, and all those things. But that's also a temporary, let me get away from reality for a bit.
Yeah, it's a temporary fix. It's a temporary fix. And, even with some of those psychotropics, I'm not going to say that they're not good, but they come with their issues because after that, you could end up having heart disease. You could have thyroid problems. You gain all this massive weight. So many things can happen with some of those medications where I say, let's try to not go there first. Don't let that be your first response.
Got it.
First, try to deal with the issue. Because if you can deal with the issue and you feel that level of success, then the next time comes around, you're a little bit more focused. Like, oh, I could do this again. I got that like superhero power. It's a notion of feeling like I can be successful. I can succeed. And you don't get that when you rely on other types of medications or drugs.
Like an empowerment.
Yeah.
That's what they need, a sense of empowerment. So a lot of the issues that you've seen with your patients is just that they tend to get in their own way, really. It's just that their anxiety has gotten, that voice of their anxiety and fear has gotten so great, it's the only thing that exists. It's like they don't even know where they are, where they begin or end in between those emotions.
Yeah, I think I want to say 85% of people get in their own way, right? You know what the problem is and you do not remove that problem from your life, right? You know what the issue is and yet you still continue to do it. Or you're starting to realize that when you're around certain people, it's just a negative energy. But then you don't remove them from your life or you don't talk about it. Because if it's your child or your partner, I'm not going to say, especially if it's a marriage, automatically get away. But then maybe the two of you need to sit down and have a real open conversation where it's just like, whenever we talk about this, this is what happens. I need you to pay more attention. I need you to listen to me. I feel like you're not hearing me out. I feel like when I talk to you, you're watching TV or you're multitasking.
Are you in my house? Holy cow. Sound like Nina. Oh, that's a script. Did you guys talk before this?
Nina, I got you.
Oh my.
We're gonna talk after this.
Why? It seems like you guys are already on the same page. I want to get the hammer right now. Wow, I'm listening to you. I'm like, what? Hold on. This is last night.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not watching TV anymore. But go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
But you have to have that level of transparency with your partner to be able to get to a place where you both can build on whatever that is and work it out together. And sometimes, especially people with anxiety or depression, if they truly feel like they have someone that's supporting them and working with them, they are more likely to say, okay, let me try. Not to say that there aren't days where they're just like, forget it, I don't want to do it. They're more likely to push through when they know that there's somebody on the other end that's like, I got you, babe. I got you. I'm here.
I didn't get that part yet. It sounds like that's what you want me to say, but I haven't got to that yet. I still got that, I'm getting in my own way.
I was saying, even if you don't understand it, but sometimes it's just hearing it and knowing like, oh, okay. It goes back to like, sometimes if you see Nina is cooking or doing something, you go and say, babe, do you want me wash dishes? Do you want me clean down the counter? You might not even want to do that. And she may not want your help because she's like, oh, Osiris can't wash dishes. But just the notion of you saying it is just like, oh, wow, he's being thoughtful. He cares. He took some time to notice me and realize that I'm doing a lot. It's
I may need to come see you because I don't see it happening, but I'll come and see you though. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. Okay, baby steps, please.
Baby steps. We can do that.
Yeah. Okay. But I hear you. And for relationships that you are able to get through them, what is the end result for them? Do they stay together? Or do they separate and realize that, you know what, it has been great. I know it's been rough, but we're not right for each other.
So far, I only had one that ended up in the we're not right for each other. And I actually agreed with them. Yeah. You both are best going in separate directions. There's a lot of domestic violence there. There's actually a heavy use of drugs, both mushrooms, marijuana, and it was just a constant. They would get really combative. They would get physical, and they just could not hear each other at all. It was either my way or no way.
Wow, it's one of those
concept.
So they were just basically dealing with a lot of demons, and it was just coming and playing itself out between the two.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of it was deeply rooted in their own past, relationships, whether it was relationships with parental figures, past relationships with another loved one that didn't go well, and they didn't resolve it. And then they automatically jumped into a relationship together. They knew each other less than a year, got married, and I think they both learned each other once they married. It was just like, wait, who are you?
Yeah, right? Where you come from? Do you cook? Do you clean? What do you do?
You're not the same girl I went on a date with? Well, we went on two.
Like, it was just a one-night stand. How did we get married? Oh, my God. And as you're seeing this, now for you on your end as a professional, taking in all this, how do you stay grounded?
That is a good question. I would say I'm 18 years in now. When I first started, I think I took it all home. I was definitely going of like, what should I have done? Should I have done something differently? Maybe I should call them. All of these things would go through my head and I would ruminate over it. I have now learned, look, these are people that need to learn to be independent. They can't be dependent on me. They have to learn to figure it out. I give you the resources and it's up to you to make that choice, right? But the choice at the end of the day is on you. One of the things that I did do, I recently moved to my place 5 years ago. And everybody was laughing at me because I made the choice not to put a TV in my bedroom. And they were like, you do that? And I was like, because I really need to have one place that's just peaceful. Like I go there to sleep, enjoy, and not think about anything. I don't work in my bedroom. I don't watch TV in my bedroom. I don't eat in my bedroom. It's the one place where I feel like I can just be relaxed and I could be Alicia, right?
Yes.
And I think you need that. And I learned to live. I've learned that I have to separate my professional from my personal. So I like to say there's Miss Wilson, which is the therapist, and then there's Alicia, and let me live my life.
Yeah. Because your profession is not easy. I mean, between psychologists, psychiatrists, where you listen to all of the world's burdens that come in and you hear their stories. I can imagine you go home and it's like you hear it even in your thoughts when you're at home and you're like, oh my God, I need to disconnect.
Yeah. I definitely need to disconnect. I try not to watch anything too serious, reality TV, because it just makes you laugh and you don't got to think about anything.
Thank you.
So let me ask a question though. So
On a
that's
side note, I get someone doesn't like me watching my reality TV.
some serious junk food. That's like poison for the brain.
Same thing, because I work in the hospital and
Yeah.
3-year-olds with cancer. I've seen family members crying or sudden death. So when I come home, I don't want to watch things like that again in a movie. I want to watch junk food.
So you're looking to detach.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in your position, would you consider using some CBD oil or maybe have a pipe or something of that nature to help you detach?
So, you know what's so funny? I've actually never used CBD oil. I've only learned about it from patients who have recommended it over and over and over again. For myself, I've definitely I'm a talker. So and talk. I'll talk your ears off until you're like, Alicia, like our time is up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, one more thing. I am a music lover. I have nothing dancing through this house like I'm a mad woman. And light some candles, give me my little glass of wine and I'm good to go.
Okay.
I actually,
You found your release.
Yeah, I think I've learned my ways of coping. And trust me, I didn't learn that overnight. It took me years to figure out what works for me. And maybe 5 years from now, I may say something different. But right now, I'm rooted in that. And I definitely will say that prayer too. I definitely do pray. Sometimes I just gotta be like, I can't deal with this. Give it to God.
Exactly.
But
what would you say is the most proudest moment of you working with people? Like one of those moments where you worked with someone and it just left you sitting in tears because you saw the transformation. Like what was that moment?
I have a client, no longer my client, who learned that she was HIV positive at the age of 22. And the day that she learned was a day that I was not in the office and I was not answering my phone. And she'd gotten to a place where she's like, I don't want to call my mother. I don't want to call anyone and tell them that I'm HIV positive. And she had decided she was going to go take her life. And it so happened that she decided to call me one more time. And we stayed on the phone for hours. We had to have been on the phone for maybe 4-5 hours until she finally fell asleep. And the next day she met me and she went to the hospital and, she actually admitted herself for a little while. And it took us maybe 2 years of therapy to get her to a place where she could cope with the fact that she was HIV positive. But she was at that place where she had the plan. She was making her way up to the rooftop. She was just gonna, say goodbye to this life. And it really felt to say wow, I did that. I helped somebody to decide that their life was worth living. Even though I have no idea what it's like to live with HIV. And to be honest, Cyrus, there was moments when I was told her, I was like, I don't know what to say. How do I say it's okay to live with HIV? Because I know it's not. How do I, do I say that it's going to get better? I don't know that it's going to get better. And really at moments lost for words and just saying, I just need to be there. I just need to listen. I need to tell her it's okay to cry, and it's okay to be angry and go through all the emotions that she went through that night. And say, I'm going to be here for you as best as I can. And it seemed to help. But there's definitely moments when, a client is talking and you're like, I don't know that I have the right words. Or, this does sound real textbook and this is someone's reality. They need to hear the textbook jargon. I need to just be real. And I think over the last several years, I've learned to just be straightforward and become a straight shooter and not textbook savvy. And that's really helped me to build some really trusting relationships with my clients. And at this point, I'm 90% referrals where other clients are saying, oh, I got a therapist for you, and she's a Black woman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There's not that many. So the ones that are relatable, because I think there's this stigma in the idea that, people of color don't go see shrinks, or that's not something of a norm, let alone that not many people of color are shrinks or people of social worker background experience in
Absolutely.
So, yeah, because it's a trust thing. And plus, also for us, it's a pride thing, too. Oh, we don't go to that for help. We handle it in-house.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My mom's of Haitian descent, and when I went to a counselor, she was like, just pray. And I'm like, yes, but there's other, for her, you don't go to speak anyway. You just pray. You speak to God. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a West Indian thing, is it not?
Yeah, very much.
It's definitely a West Indian thing. And I think Nina's right. We definitely have this just pray. And I definitely think, yes, pray, but you still got to talk to somebody, right?
You got to take action.
Exactly. And in your prayer, it may be God saying you need to go get professional.
I said, Mom, this guy make social workers, this guy make...
Gave them purpose.
Maybe he might be telling me if I listen to the prayer, that goes on.
But what's crazy
I'm not trying to mock. I'm definitely not here to mock.
The religion, but the fact is...
Traditions and parents. I'm not here for that, but I'm just like pointing that out. That's why some may
not do it
or seek out help.
Yeah, and they live with it too. That's the
sad. Yeah.
Alicia, my dear, I thank you very much for your time. You shared so much, and it's just the insight is very helpful in us in thinking things forward. I don't know about the part about asking if I want to help clean dishes or help support. That's like 2-3 therapy sessions. That's just a prerequisite before I face it. But for the most part, I definitely appreciate you for coming on and sharing with us your experiences and things you're doing. And
where how do you market your private practice? Is it just word of mouth, or do you have a website? Or
share with us so we can get that out for you.
No, definitely. So I'm going to definitely give you my email is ms.alicia, Alicia Wilson @gmail.com. Right now, I'm actually going through a place called Brooklyn Center for Psychotherapy, where they get my clients for me, and then I sign them up. But I am working, since we're in quarantine, I am working on my own website. So that'll be coming soon. But,
awesome.
Yes, thank you. So right now, if those are interested, definitely they can shoot me an email, and then I will put them through the process.
Okay. Now you work with both individuals as well as couples?
Yes, I do both.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
I'm not coming. I was just asking for Nina.
Wait. You can't go by herself. You got to go with her.
She got Uber.
You know what? Osiris, I'm going to need you to come first.
Okay.
I think I'm not the issue.
Not the issue. Okay, Nina's not the issue.
No.
Wink, wink, wink.
Nope, not at all. Sorry.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it. But again, thank you very much. And also thank you for what you do, because it means so much to so many people that you are touching and that you're helping. I wish you all the strength in life to keep doing what you're doing, because it's not easy. I can only imagine the things that you've seen and heard and dealt with. But to have you continue doing what you're doing, it's a blessing, and it's an awesome gift as well. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for bringing me on. I truly appreciate it. Love the conversation, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes, definitely. Probably after this thing's all over, it's like, okay, how many people you have left for your friends? I'm like, I got this 13-inch beard. Can we see what we're going to do from here?
There you go. I love it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
You too. Be well.
Be well.
Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in another episode of
Love and Cannabis. I'm Osiris Stephenand.
And I'm Nina Simmonsto.
Be strong
and stay empowered.